key insight. The reason that there are trolls in the world, it's subtle. It's not obvious at first why there are trolls. It looks on the surface like, well, people are just criticizing legitimate grievances. That's not what's really happening. What's really happening when I see a troll is I see someone who has no life purpose, or if they do, then they're totally off track with that life purpose. And really what they're doing is they're doing the easy thing. They're criticizing someone else. It's easy to criticize. But see, when they criticize, what they're actually doing is they're feeding into their lower self, and they're using that as a form of procrastination. It's very subtle and very sneaky, self-deceptive procrastination. Because when we procrastinate in our usual way, our mind says, oh, you're procrastinating, time to stop. But when you become a troll, you become a procrastinator without knowing that you're a procrastinator. And that's what all criticism basically boils down to, is that these people who are criticizing you, whether it's your parents or your boss or your wife or your husband or whoever, if they're expending more than just a few seconds telling you something is wrong, if they're actually putting emotion into that criticism, the way a hater or a troll would, they're robbing themselves basically of their own greatness. They don't know what their own greatness is. They don't know how to pursue their own greatness. They don't want to go do hard work towards a life purpose. They don't want to go focus the way that you're trying to focus. So they just engage in this kind of guilty pleasure of the lower self. It's almost like binge eating on ice cream or on potato chips. It's that kind of thing, They're stuck in that. And then that's why a troll becomes a troll, because, first he starts as like a critic, and then, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And the more he procrastinates with that, then the more serious of a troll becomes, until you see these kind of people like on the internet, or on YouTube, these kind of chronic trolls, which just all they do is they just watch videos and then they just leave nasty, mean comments about how everything is wrong, the world is screwed up, society is screwed up, and everything is wrong. Everyone is wrong except them. It's not a coincidence that their ego is doing that, right? There's something really deep going on there. So how can you use this? Well, you can actually use this as a reminder of how to improve yourself and keep yourself on the narrow road. So every time you see a troll out there somewhere, just remind yourself like, oh, yeah, that could be me. In fact, where am I acting like a troll? Who am I criticizing in some other aspect of my life? How am I procrastinating on my life purpose by being a troll? Maybe not in the same way that this guy is. Maybe I'm not so critical at my job, but maybe I'm critical with my girlfriend or my boyfriend. Or maybe I'm a troll to my children and I nag them all the time. Why do I nag my children? Oh, it's because I'm too big of a pussy to actually go and work on my own greatness. So that's a very good reminder, because you're going to forget. This is something that's very unconscious. These dynamics are very unconscious, because the fact is that pursuing your life purpose is very challenging. It's scary. It demands everything of you to be able to do it successfully. And it's so much harder to do something constructively than to do something destructive, just like criticism. Especially criticism, not only is it destructive, but it's so lazy. It's like you get to just sit back and you get to talk shit. Talk shit. You don't have to be responsible for creating results. You don't have to get off your ass. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is you just have to, that monkey chatter, that negative monkey chatter in your mind, you just have to say yes to it. That's the easiest thing in the world. And the hardest thing in the world is to control that monkey chatter and to turn it from negative to positive, and then to apply it towards some sort of useful purposes in life, and then to shape and improve the entire world with that drive. That's the hardest thing. The easiest thing is just to sit back and criticize. So that's it in a nutshell. Now, before I let you go, I need to give you a couple of important warnings here. So warning number one is, this is not to be used as an excuse to reject feedback. So I'm not telling you here that now you don't have to think about feedback. Feedback is important. You need to distinguish between feedback and between criticism. Constructive criticism is otherwise known as feedback. Feedback is very important, and you're going to fail without it. So for example, Let's say you have a business and you launch a product, and then some client of yours sends you an email saying something like, your product is shit. Now, what is that? Is that criticism or is that feedback? Well, the way in which it was said, your product is shit, that tells you that that part of it is criticism. But that same exact email, that same exact sentence also might have some valid feedback. Maybe it is the case that this customer is legitimately disappointed by some aspect of the product that you launched. Maybe there could be something improved about your product in the future. Now, this customer might have said it in a very crass way because he doesn't know any better, but you still need to be able to distinguish between feedback and criticism. Likewise, for example, if your parents are telling you that, hey, you're doing something wrong, you made some bad lifestyle choices, you chose a bad major, a bad career. It's very easy to say, well, they're just being trolls and critics. I'll just ignore them and I'll just do exactly what I want to do. No, that's not what I told you. What I told you is ignore the troll part, but it might be the case that they actually have some legitimate advice or feedback that they're offering you. Maybe it's some feedback that you don't want to hear. Maybe you did choose the wrong career choice. Maybe they have your best interest at heart. Maybe they just don't know how to communicate it. You need to be able to take that kind of feedback.